Joey Janela's Spring Break 9. It's always, if you like, been the indie WrestleMania. And this one felt like the best show that we've seen in a long time. One of the matches I was looking forward to most over the weekend was the senior scramble match. And what a reception it got from the room as well. Damien 666, George South, Action Mike Jackson.
Action Mike Jackson.
And the Rock and Roll Express of Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Action Mike Jackson is the oldest man there. I think he was 76. Little skinny old Mike Jackson now. He's any other context, you'd sort of go a very sweet sort of Jimmy Carter looking granddad. And, you see him in his leotard and you're like, no, he will always be Action Mike Jackson.
Yeah.
Mike Jackson just hasn't stopped. He's one of those guys, I think he is the sort of oldest American pro wrestler. And God bless him. They did this match where they all started, and I think very wisely GCW had booked an angle to get out of it, which was a good thing. And out came Ricky Morton's son, Kerry Morton, one of the best in the indies on the mics. Yeah. Fantastic mic work. And he came out to say it was all pathetic and how disgusting it was. And naturally, they then put him in the match. They all turned on him and did their moves. Action Mike Jackson nearly died.
He did. He walked along, slipped on probably blood. And yeah, I thought that was going to be, at the very best, a rolled ankle. Yeah. At worst, a broken leg.
Yeah,
but he got up quite gingerly, but
he did. He walked the ropes like the Undertaker. And then there was nearly a genuine Undertaker moment.
Needed, yeah.
But it was lovely. I thought what was really so nice about that is there is no one going, what's this shit? It was just delight from a crowd. And it was lovely. One of the things I noticed this time around, which has been really refreshing, has been the slight death of the "you fucked up" chant.
Right, yeah.
When Mike Jackson went off that rope, it sort of would have ruined his life, I think, if he'd got a "you fucked up." It was just, it's a humiliating thing. And part of wrestling is you don't always get it right.
Yeah, I think anything you botches, you fucked up. I mean...
You fucked up is just, great, you saw it, didn't go to plan, whatever. Right, we've seen a load of incidents over the week that previously definitely would have got a "you fucked up" chant, and no one is doing them. Good. And I think, God, put that to bed. Couldn't be happier. The next match was one that GCW have been hyping, very successfully, which is Atticus Cogar taking on Fuego del Sol in a GCW career versus mask match.
That's right, yes.
You might not have known who either of them were coming in.
I think when you sort of see someone with a mask, you do sort of go, you expect a certain wrestling style, and then the bins are out, and then the fucking barbed wire, all that shit's coming out, the razors.
The old skewers, the wooden skewers come out.
A lot of wooden skewers on this show. Big fat. GCW seems to be a company obsessed with wooden skewers.
Do you know what? Cheap.
Cheap.
They look effective. They look really memorable. They're gory, and you can get them for under $1 for about $200. I mean, a match that over-delivered, really. Just really, really delivered. And Fuego del Sol, he lost his mask, turned out to be, fit, and then he took his boots off and left them in the ring.
Yeah.
The match had, interference, if you like, from both of their seconds, Atticus Cogar's brother, Otis, and Sam Stackhouse, who's the best friend of Fuego del Sol.
Sam Stackhouse turned in a performance. He can move. That guy can move.
Sam Stackhouse is a plus-sized man.
Yes,
again, it's a slight reminder, isn't it, that, wrestling benefits from having a variety of body shapes. We don't all need to be shredded and ripped. And someone like Sam Stackhouse seems like a sort of throwback in a way to when wrestling was, we had every sort of type of human under the sun. And he, when he comes off the rope and everything, there were people behind me who were sort of going, that guy needs a bra and stuff. And it's like, I bet you fucking need a bra.
Let's have a look at you, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. When was the last time you were entertaining a sold out crowd in public?
Yeah. Bra
or braless, the normalization of, different body types, especially in wrestling, should be an open door policy, and it was good to see Sam Stackhouse performing at this level. Next match, Minoru Suzuki taking on the bulldozer Matt Tmont. He is a big deathmatch wrestler. And this was fine. It was a decent match, spoiled by a non-conclusive finish.
Yeah, very weird end. It was just kind of like they were disqualified, but it isn't. Was it disqualified or did they run out of time? I can't remember what it was.
They were sort of both on the outside and then they just ran away almost, sort of thing. Yeah, it was. I do have a thing on big shows where if you cannot find an ending, then maybe that match shouldn't have been booked. If you couldn't have, got someone
announce
to
it.
do
You know
a
what I
pin.
mean? It just didn't,
Yeah, it was a bit of a mess. That again, a bloody match, and there was a lot of blood in this card. They didn't hold back on that. And the next match, completely holding my theory up, it was Gabe Kidd who beat Mance Warner in an absolute bloodbath. Good fun. I loved it. I loved Gabe Kidd, and it was all just screwdrivers to the head and torrents of blood. And Mance Warner,
could not start bleeding.
Oh, it was spraying out.
It were a gusher.
It was like if you were just pouring Ribena out of a jug, and it was just pooling up on the floor. And just
what a mess.
Sort of good to get out of the way in some ways. When it was going on, I was like, I'm a bit worried that this is going to seem like overkill when we get to the Janela versus Sabu. And I think there was a slight part of me afterwards that was going, it's just as well we had that really long bloody match because that disappeared. And then finally, the main event, the reason everyone was there was Sabu in what is billed as his retirement match, although he has said previously, he said, well, we'll see if it's my retirement match. He said, he's keeping the options open. Taking on Joey Janela, the booker of the card.
I imagine that Sabu is quite difficult to control narratives and control stories when it comes to dealing with a character like him.
Joey Janela did do a tweet saying, if I ever write a book on this, it will just be about this one day. He said, and it was the most stressful day of my pro wrestling career. Sabu has obviously last year didn't turn up to receive a Legends Award GCW were going to give him.
Right.
And he'd been paid for that. And he was actually in the hotel where it was taking place, but he wouldn't come up the escalator.
Of course. Yes, right.
And so there was a lot of toing and froing about that. I think there was, Sabu is either a man who knows his own worth or is just chronically unreliable. And it's difficult to know which one it is. Certainly when he came down to the ring, there was some kind of kerfuffle. And the kerfuffle was over the fact that there wasn't steps for him to get to the ring.
Yeah.
And when he began conveying that, nobody went to get him a chair. And he had to get a chair from underneath a bit that had been set up with a door on it to put it there, and then he still found it difficult to get in. And on the way in, he snagged himself on the barbed wire with his trousers, and he just would not stop pacing and looking angry and talking. So Emil, the ring announcer, you could see he was unsure about what was going on.
Dealing with a live wire. But like you say, for him to be in the ring, it was like a choose your own adventure sort of situation, really. It was like, if Sabu turns up, go to page 29. If he turns up and he's pissed, it's page 70.
Yeah.
If he doesn't turn up at all, do this, do this. Yeah. And so I would have loved to have seen Joey Janela with a big whiteboard and a big spider diagram, like a kind of like post-it notes going, right, if this happens, you got to do this.
When they're
this happens, you got to do this.
That's it.
And something happened and the emergency button was pushed.
If GCW have made a sort of like behind the scenes like they do with the WrestleMania, if they've made a behind the scenes of Spring Break 9,
I'd love
with everything backstage as everyone's just going, is he here? Whose car is that?
Yeah.
I would watch the fuck out of that. I really would. Sabu came out. He looked really good. And he was walking, again, if you weren't a big fan of wrestling, this would seem obscene. He seemed to be walking pretty well.
Yes.
Looked great in a white suit. And it was good to see him in that condition. I wasn't sure if it was going to be that.
Yeah.
I thought there might be a lot of butterbean smoke and mirrors. He would come down with Shane Douglas and he would be one hand on Shane Douglas's shoulder, things like that. But he looked like he was moving really well.
Yeah. He looked loose. He looked loose, Mark. And who knows why? Who knows why he looked so loose?
Because insides are just dust and all smashed up. What is fascinating as well is, you talk about choose your own adventure. When the match started, then I think there were also impromptu choose your own adventures.
Oh, it was rapidly became. I had the same feeling in my chest when my daughter did a shit in the bath once. But just sort of going, right, the bath is the place where we're supposed to get clean, and she shat in the bath. Where do we go from here? It was a real kind of like analysis paralysis. Something has to be decided pretty soon. And it was like that, really. Yeah, it was a big shit in a bath.
They spent a long time working flat out to build that barbed wire ring.
Yes.
And there was a guy coming over and saying, no, not like that. And the other guy going, I know, I'm doing it. And they were doing it double wire and they were twisting it and they were doing it fast. And the show was delayed because they were doing it properly.
Yes.
And as soon as they got in, it fell the fuck apart.
But it's worth. I've not seen a lot of barbed wire matches, but they're not designed to be load bearing.
Not load bearing, but normally you would be able to, certainly the ECW
to lean on
ones,
it and go, ow!
You would get in them and they would sag, but they would hold you in place like a soldier on the trenches of World War I.
Yes, okay,
as
right.
he's gone over the top.
Okay, right.
It would be a bit like that. They would hold you, and sometimes
None of them work
these
like
ones,
that.
Jesus Christ, they would go into that rope and it would just give way immediately.
Yeah.
Well, not immediately, after a fraction of a second. So you would lean on it, you go full weights on it. That's great. Bang, gone. And the first time it happened, Sabu just went head first into a board of barbed wire. Which
It was like a cot.
wheels.
It was like a cot of barbed wire, isn't it? To use another my daughter analogy.
Yes.
But like, I don't think he was even supposed to go in that time.
No,
I don't think the ropes were supposed to hold him.
You don't go the first move of a barbed wire match.
Straight in the barbed
You
wire.
go straight through the barbed wire thing and onto the barbed wire bed. You do not, and you don't go head first into it.
You
because Jesus
certainly
Christ,
do not go head
Jesus
first
Christ.
into it, yeah.
Sabu comes out, and he's always done this through his career. When he comes out of these things, he doesn't go He looks genuinely fucking furious and I'm traumatized. And so it's very difficult to tell whether or not he's traumatized and hurt.
Yeah. Because he spent a lot of time as he was getting into the ring remonstrating about his shirt being ripped with people and stuff, and you're like, fucking stop it,
well,
big
you
lads.
think it was an angle as well, because there was a part of me that I actually did think, I was like, well, he's going to be wearing this in the barbed wire thing, right? Well, he's not worried about it being ripped. So I thought to myself, I think he's going to get out of this. And there was certainly a bit where they did announce, suicidal, genocidal, homicidal, Sabu. He grabbed the mic. And they had immediately turned it off. I don't know whether that was luck or, who knows. But Emil looked absolutely like just he did not know what was going on. And I noticed the second that Emil got out of the ring, he just begins running to where the commentators are. Right. And he obviously had to convey a message in some way to kind of go, he's not going to do it. I genuinely thought Sabu was going to get on that microphone and say, the way I've been treated is fucking disgusting. I'm not having any more to do with this. Go fuck yourselves. And I thought to myself, I bet if that had happened, he'd have known he was going to do that long before he got into that ring. Yeah. And that felt to me like a proper old pro wrestling sort of holding the promoter up. Yeah. I thought we were going to see that. So when Janela took the decision to just hit him in the back and hope he'd sort of go, okay, well, we've started now. Yeah. It did feel like there was a moment there where it was very wobbly. But Sabu has never been a polished wrestler. He's not Dean Malenko. And what you got on this night, possibly the final night, is you got exactly what Sabu at his best did, which was go beyond what you'd expect. Yeah. It would be impossible to know whether it had gone right or wrong. And it would be, you've never seen anything like it. And scary. I mean, putting fear in wrestling is very hard to do. That please don't die chant, when that first got shouted, people were scared. They were scared that Paul London in Ring of Honor was going to come off that top rope and break his neck. And the reality is, there were no please don't die chants because people were too scared, because please don't die has become a cliche. When Sabu got whipped into the far rope, one of the remaining ones, onto a barbed wire board and just carried on going through. Yeah. That was a moment where you think I've witnessed a murder. It was like seeing someone get hit by a car. It was almost worse, because obviously we went back and watched the footage from a different angle, but like it was almost worse just seeing him disappear from view completely. It was like he'd plummeted down a cliff. Yeah. It was like seeing someone go over a cliff and just go, and you didn't want to look on the other side, It was, I think clearly when that had happened, I think there was obviously a longer match, but very quickly when Sabu was on the floor holding the back of his head, Atticus Kogar and his brother ran down to the ring and began beating Joey Janela. And I get the feeling that was brought forward. That was brought forward, yeah. And then almost immediately Sandman. That's right. Sandman comes out and you're like, you're pressing all the buttons at the same time. You might need to keep the Sandman back. Set them all off. Because this is DEFCON 1. It's like Partridge at that opera, and he's had his foot on a spike and he's firing off his bang and whizzes. Sort of like bang whiz. Oh, it's a pint of blood. Sandman came out. That distracted everyone from what was going on in the ring because it's Sandman. And I wouldn't care if people was still doing fucking skewers in the head at the time that Sandman was coming down. He's going, don't normalise skewers in the head. That's supposed to be a big thing. Also, I don't ever want to be fucking rescued by Sandman because they're kicking the shit out of you and suddenly, doom, 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 and you go, fantastic. Sandman's here. He'll be able to come and stop this beating probably in 7.5 minutes. Yeah. But
what fucking year is it?
It's 2025.
I mean, it delivered. And I forget, in the chaos of what was going on, Sandman got to the ring, he got knocked over, and then somehow Sabu ends up pinning. I think it was after some punches, which was a bit of ever so slightly flat ending. Yeah. But who cares? I mean, they have delivered spectacle. To say, the ending wasn't much, it's like, how much more do you want? Yeah. Did you see what happened in the rest of the match? You'll never kind of go, this is a 5-star wrestling match. No. But as a wrestling spectacle, I mean, it was hard to top. It was, I shouted myself hoarse, and it was mainly from going, it was just brill.
My daughter was in the sink. She'd been horsed down, got her in a nappy, got her in a romper suit, and the poo was sifted out by hand.
Sometimes you just have to go through hell, and you have to accept you're going to go through hell. And when you get on the other side of it, you go, I'm a different person, a stronger one.
Yeah.
And, it might happen again. And who knows, it might happen again with Sabu. But I mean, I would hope that Sabu kind of goes, I am happy with that. And you know what? It's not going to get better than that. Or worse.
No, I'm presuming, and I'm making massive presumptions here. Sabu's girlfriend was trying to get in the ring because I saw a woman with a facial tattoo at the bar earlier who was flirty drunk, let's say. And she tried to get in the ring, and people were running to stop her trying to get in the ring. I don't know. I don't know what was going on.
It all adds to the wonderful sort of chaos of the whole thing. And the thing should have felt a bit out of control. Yeah. And it did.
More than anything else, I mean, that it takes a long time to clip, to shorten the barbs on barbed wire.
Yeah.
So somebody has to sit there, every barb, just to shorten. It still cuts you.
Gonna tell you, Pete. We watched the ring being set up, didn't we? And they did the barbed wire off the coils.
Yes,
This barbed wire was not trimmed.
It will have been. You can recoil
not trimmed. Not trimmed. You've got to believe.
All right, fine. I will.
You'll be saying later, Pete, that they sit there and they decide who's going to win the match.
You've got something in a carrier bag in front of you, haven't you? You've got something in a carrier bag.
Something very, very interesting.
Something very interesting.
We have to thank Duncan and John. They're staying at the Rio, which we can see from our apartment block.
Yes.
But they are two glorious Pat Patrionsons.
Lovely lads.
Who have come over for WrestleMania. And after they went to spring break, while they were clearing away the ring, asked if he could have some of the barbed wire from the show. And the GCW guys were like, yes, sure, you can.
Of course you can.
And here is the actual barbed wire used in the match that they had with Sabu.
Yeah.
And what do we notice about that, Pete?
What do we notice about that? I mean, I have to say, it's not gimmicked, is it?
It ain't gimmicked.
It ain't gimmicked. The barbs are long and the barbs, they are sharp.
I tell you what, I put it in a plastic bag. There's a reason they never just give you a plastic bag when you buy barbed wire. It's not conducive.
Yes, we'll be back soon. We got to finish Hog Wild 98 off.
Yeah, we have.
So there we go.
We have, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
And we've just got a lot of packing to do. We've got to work out how to get barbed wire into a suitcase.
Mark, you said yesterday, it's like, there's no reason for them to go in there. They're not going to go in my bag. Well, if they see barbed wire.
It's jewellery.
It's jewellery.
It's jewellery. It's jewellery, and I'm poor. Shame me in front of all these people, why don't you? But don't touch my precious jewels.
First TSA agent that gets in there, his hands cut up to shit. I thought this was gimmicked.
It's predetermined, you prick.
That you've got hepatitis. You've got tetanus. Oh, dear.
You've got whatever Sabu's got. So, Sunshine, start writing your will. 100% authentic Janela Sabu barbed wire.
Can I please hold it, Daddy?
No, darling, no.
You are the worst daddy in the world.
We got the WWE Women's Tag Team title match after that. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez took on what I call the Irish Pigeon, Lyra Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria has a brain injury, thinks she's a bird. Comes out with...
Is it actually she thinks she's a bird? Or No, good. Right.
It would be good if they just had loads of gimmicks where they all went, here he comes now. Of course, he had a traumatic brain injury. Now believes he's a dustman.
Undertaker.
Yeah. In fact, it could be all of them. American hero.
We should pity all of these people, not celebrate them.
Yes. He's going to fight, but the real fight happens in the doctor's surgery.